Aiah. I'm Javada.
I'm Najwa.
It's your girl, Taylor Gray. You are now listening to the Girlfriends Podcast. Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Welcome back to season 2 of the Girlfriends Podcast. What are we talking about today?
Shit.
Go ahead, Javada. Open this up.
Okay, so you guys know I love the Twitterverse. The Twitterverse, it's a place. Hashtag Black Twitter. So on Twitter, there has been recent studies talking about, basically, all in all, there's a discussion going on about the generation gap between mainly Generation Z, which is going to be the generation behind us. These are going to be your children born in 2000 and later, and maybe the baby boomers and some of your earlier age millennials. So with that being said, what they're saying now is that they're seeing a complete change in kind of the culture and how the experience is as people are going through young adulthood. So more and more people are depressed. There was a study showing that society is overall more depressed, but it's specifically targeted towards millennials and Generation Z. I personally feel like there's a reason for this attachment going along with the fact that there is a generational gap here. So I think about my situations and even trying to communicate or get things across with my parents, let alone people in their age group, and I feel like they just don't get it. And I think a lot of that has to deal with the depression that people are experiencing because they're not feeling like they have environments where they're open to talk about their experience, or they're fearing that they're going to be subject to ridicule or people kind of downplaying what their situation is. So I guess we're kind of on the heavy topic. Do you guys agree and feel that we're more depressed, that maybe we're subject to more elements than our parents were? Go.
I mean, I can't see things on, I can't look at the overarching view of things because I can only see what's in my community.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see a difference? Not necessarily, but do I feel like a lot of things in this day and age may have an impact? Yes. With social media, it's interesting. We're our most open, I would say. We're our most exposed now with social media, but at the same time, I think social media is like a false outlet. You can go there and you can say whatever you want to say. You can say you're sad. You can talk about everything going on in your life, but it still does not equate to a human being. And so you can go and put your entire life story on social media. It doesn't help you to solve any problems. I mean, if anything, it puts people into your problems. They know what's going on with you, but nobody's really there to help you. You're not speaking to a therapist who can, provide you, methods to cope with whatever you're going with. So I feel like that can cause a lot of us to, instead of talk to other people, we go to social media and nothing really gets solved. And that could be why we're facing more depression. We're facing more stress because yes, we're venting, but we are still not really coping, if that makes sense. And I guess to me that could be why. I'm no therapist. I'm no researcher. I couldn't tell you, but that's just how I think about it.
Okay, so maybe we'll ask someone with the therapy background. So do you think that what I is saying, the lack of like human and emotional interaction, I guess in the age of technology, do you think that that's directly impacting the depression?
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a part of it. I also feel like this generation is, we're weaker in some areas and stronger in some areas. Let's say like this generation, we're more optimistic. So like we were speaking to the lady earlier, like we'll quit a job and still be alright. Like we'll feel like we'll still be okay. At the same time, we're weaker as far as handling situations. I feel like, the people in our past, they endured a little bit more with certain situations. But at the same time, I feel like we're allowing ourselves to because I hope this makes sense. We're allowing ourselves to really deal with it. So I guess it doesn't make us weak. Instead of us ignoring how we really feel,
right?
We're allowing ourselves to really feel those feelings, but then I don't think we really know how to take those feelings.
I would
because
agree.
of the people that are before us, because we have those parents because they aren't millennials, so they'll respond to us like, oh, just go, because they haven't dealt with it. So you got to think about the energy that they're getting from when they choose to express it. So it's like you stuck.
And I feel like, speaking from personal experience, I feel that too, like, it don't necessarily make you weak because you're not talking about it. Sometimes I feel like handle your own problems, overcome your own obstacles. That way I can help other people.
Yes.
And then, damn, I forgot.
What you mean? What you mean? Handle your own problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, so say if I'm just going through something, and instead of always calling you all the time, I'm calling Taylor, I had this problem, I got this problem. Why can't I just stop, reflect, and deal with it myself, and kind of figure out ways I can cope, like learn myself
But everybody's
instead of
not
always.
capable. There's-
Well,
there's
just
a-
me. That's what
I feel you.
that's what I did.
I think, but sometimes that could be a weakness for you too, because if you continue to do something, then when you're at a point where you're not gonna call out for help. You get what I'm saying? Because you're gonna revert back to that
You're
thought,
almost
like
like
I'm
suffering
gonna
in
keep
silence.
doing right. And so it's like I'm not faulting you for being that way, but at the same time, there's got to be like a median, like. A
But
balance.
I mean, I just look at it like, I'm not saying I do that with everything. I just don't want to be a hassle on nobody else either.
And never feel like you're a burden.
Too,
I
though.
think that's something that we.
I think that's a big stigma.
But
that
I
comes along with
I can
those
honestly
feelings
say
anyway.
sometimes I don't want to hear everybody else's issues
Of
because I'm
course,
going
of
through my
course,
own.
absolutely.
So I try not to,
Yeah.
So
always.
you kind of assume nobody wants to.
No,
deal with
it's not that you don't want to deal with it. I don't want you to have to worry so much because I know I'm good. Now, if I wasn't good, trust me, I'm gonna let y'all know. Like, look, this shit ain't working. I've been having these type of thoughts, whatever it is. I'm gonna call out for help
And I think
before
the beautiful thing about it is you're okay. Like you know that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people
That's
that
not
who feel they can do that.
Right.
But when it gets to a point, they're like about to jump off a cliff. They're like,
Right,
"Hey,
yeah.
how I get here?" You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and you never know. Like when you grow older, like life experiences. Like I can say, like my past 2 years of life, not past 2 years, from being 24 to 25, I've never felt as like emotionally vulnerable and raw like from before when I was younger. So as you grow older, different experiences, like you may never know. I'm not saying what I pray that you're never at the point of jumping off of a cliff or a building, but you just never know. So you may think you're good now.
Right.
So sometimes it's important to practice those things. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but do y'all give a damn?
No, I get you saying you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes I feel like it's okay to, self.
So I think what the real conversation here is, it's okay to be depressed.
It is.
I think that's kind of where we're going now, and maybe that's why there is such a jump in the numbers. People are more comfortable being open about experiencing depressed emotions, which I think is leading in the right direction. But I mean, of course, it's something negative. There's always going to be the downfall where you have some people who unfortunately commit suicide.
I won't say-
I don't want to necessarily say it's okay to be
Yeah.
depressed. I want to say it's okay, like what you
It's okay to
said
be
in the
aware.
previous. But it's okay to not always be okay. Just because
Yes,
you're not okay
that's-
don't mean you're
yes,
depressed.
yes.
I think it's-
Oh, okay, my bad.
I just had to change it up for the
Well,
word.
well,
so
because-
Yeah, 'cause it was just like-
Well, you have to
what?
realize, like, you can experience, like, depressed emotions, but not
Totally.
actually be depressed. And I think where we're getting at is in social media, like you say, people portray what they want to portray. People, especially people monetize off of social media. Shit out to you too, like that's lit. But there are people who portray these different things of what's going on, and they're not really having those raw and honest conversations.
Right.
So it's just a lot to think about where people, they have to put out this image or portray this because of X, Y, and Z. Whereas the depressed experience, like, it's an emotion. Like, it's totally human and normal to feel sad or feel upset. But I think we carry so much guilt when we go through these emotions if we don't know how to properly experience them, or we haven't taken the time to figure out. Like, for me personally, when I'm feeling any kind of way, happy, sad, whatever, I really take the time to sit back and be like, okay, what am I feeling? What does this feel like? What would I classify this emotion as? Why do I feel this way? And what can I do to not feel this way or not maybe happen again? But I try to really have a very raw experience with the emotions. So if that means I have to take 5 minutes and sob, like, because I'm so stressed or I'm so anxious, if I have to take that time privately to do that and express that emotion, then, I have no problem coming through and be like, you know what, okay, I'm sad right now. And I think it's just, it's a deeper conversation that goes back to what Taylor says, where people have to be self-aware. And I think by more people putting out there what they're experiencing, if they're being truthful and honest, which is something that's questionable on social media, I think it'll help create an environment that will help people get through these things. But I feel like we're getting there. There's an era of enlightenment going on, but we haven't sorted it out yet.
And one thing I was wanting to kind of piggyback off of that was, I'm not an emotional person, so I feel like lately I've been intact with my emotions, and I actually like it. So sometimes I'll cry,
I think there's a
and
stigma
I
with
like that I'm
emotional.
showing, because I feel like I used to be so tough and,
For what?
you know, like all this, but you, I mean, yeah, like you
For
said, for
what?
what?
Yeah.
Like trying to hold back
Yeah.
and just always be
Instead of
strong.
just
But
have
it's
a
just
raw
like, if you
experience.
sad, bitch, cry.
Right.
If it's bothering you, be sad.
Right.
Like, it's okay to be sad. You don't
Right.
always have to be this, you know, tough and the strongest one out the group. Bitch, cry. So I'm like, oh shit, let me cry in the shower.
That's what I'm saying. There's
So
like,
sometimes I just cry in the shower just because I want to cry, not even because I'm sad or I had a long day. I just want to cry because I want to feel that. You know what I'm saying? That emotion. Like I'm not emotional, so it feels good to me to have my emotions. I know that might sound weird to some people, but
no, it doesn't.
Some people
I
think-
think it makes sense. I think it makes perfect sense.
Also playing into, you know, with our generation and Gen Z being more depressed, do you think it's more so because, at least in the Black community anyway, Taylor, like, do you think it's because, you know, back then they didn't talk about these types of things? What is depression in the Black community? What is being suicidal? Like, you know, go to church and pray about
Right.
it. Like, girl, ain't nothing wrong with you. Go back
Yeah.
to work. But now, I think, at least for our generation, we're more vocal about it. We're more open to learning about it, and we're more open to saying, yeah, I'm not feeling the best. I'm not happy right now. And maybe it's just a matter of what we're reflecting versus what they're reflecting. Because there could have been just as many depressed people back then.
Absolutely.
But there weren't as many people coming out to say,
and I feel like more
I am
people
depressed.
are coming out more
Right.
like, look, something wrong. And I
Right.
feel like, yeah, the suicidal rates have went up and all that, but I've got hope in these next generations that now they won't even be committing suicide. They'll actually be seeking help because people are speaking more about it.
Right.
Right.
People
Like the
more
lady was saying earlier, we are the history. So
Right.
eventually, like, you know, after us, I guess Gen Z will, or yeah, is that it?
Mhm.
Yeah, they'll, I guess, like you said, be the help or see us as examples. So yeah.
No, I think that whole concept of like we are history is a really, really good concept, because I sit back and I think about it and I'm like, you know, you go back and you go through, you know, all these different eras in U.S. history. I have something that like Enlightenment. That word just really speaks to me so much as far as like looking at how the era of Enlightenment was such a progressive time. I feel like we're in an enlightenment right now. I honestly feel like that is where we are. Things are just, people are enlightened and following what they want to do and pursuing their passions and their dreams, and people are supporting that, and I think that amazing things are happening every single day. But I think as that happens, you know, naturally you have people who believe and who are supportive and are positive, and then you also have the naysayers and the negative people. But I think that that's going to be true to the experience that the people had in the past as well. But just going, and for me, seeing all these strides that we're having in medicine, technology, it blows me away. And for me, I'm like, I personally feel like millennials, we have a huge part in that. Shout out to millennials. I'm raising the roof for us like 4
Yeah, of
times.
course. I think
Thanks, Mom.
I think something really interesting playing into our generation and how, you know, this is like the season of enlightenment. I also think about how we are also in the season of unlearning.
Yes.
Like,
Totally.
we are this
Yeah.
generation who says, like, they've been saying that black isn't beautiful.
Mhm.
Nah. We are unlearning that. We are seeing ourselves as you know, as just as good
As we are.
You know, we're starting to understand that, you know, working 40 hours a week, you know, constantly just to make money and support a family is not what's fulfilling and not
It's not
what's necessarily
healthy.
Now
purposeful.
people
So,
coming out with businesses.
so yeah,
All that.
you know, millennials may be quitting jobs, but it's because they understand that, you know, working 40 hours a week for a job that you're not really passionate about is not really going to
Fulfill
truly
you.
fulfill you in life, you know, and that is okay. And that is okay.
Yes.
We were raised by parents who felt like it was necessary to do those things, and because of them, we have been awarded the opportunities that we do. We've been able to have these views that life isn't just about working,
Right.
you know. So we are also in the season of, you know, unlearning
The traditions, like Yeah, everything's changing. Everything's
The
changing.
not so good things
Right.
that, hell, when I was in elementary school, they was trying to tell us that Columbus was some all good man who happened to stumble upon America and woo-hoo, when really
research.
he was a colonizer. And he was dumb on top of that because he came here thinking that he landed in India, and no, nigga, you were in India.
Look,
You
don't
were
know
in
where you
America.
going. Look, I'm outside.
Right? Like, and then to think, like,
I'm weak.
like, if we take it back, like, we were taught that, this country was built on slavery, but in a way they kind of glamorized slavery. They didn't talk really about how many people's lives were, affected detrimentally because of it. They didn't talk about the people whose legs were chopped off for trying to run away for freedom. They didn't talk about the people who were lynched. They didn't talk about the fact that they looked at us as the equivalent to dogs.
Right.
They were just like, oh, in this portion of life, slavery happened. Black people were free.
Oh, yes.
Everyone was happy together. No, we are.
They water it down
They
a
water
lot.
shit down
Yeah.
so much. So it's
Yeah.
like, I think we are looking at shit at face value, and we are.
And I think that's probably where the issue lies with a lot of people prior to our generation. Because even technology, like we've grown up with and without technology, but for me, like, honestly, I hate it, but I love it. Especially like when I think of, okay, slavery, they water it down. They don't mention, that they're tormenting people and they're doing this and they're doing that. Thank you for the smartphone. How many lives have we saved?
Or
Reporting.
brought aware to people
Because people think
Right.
it's not happening. Because people are not educated on what's going on. Now, for me, I feel like there's no excuse, and I feel like people in the past, they have a problem standing in front of things because they're used to being in a society where you have, what you have in the light and what you have in the dark. Well, the dark and the light it's just light now.
Yeah.
It's just light now.
I'm going back on to how you said they used to compare slaves to dogs. Now it's crazy how they value dogs like more than
I think we're getting into a different conversation.
But yeah, that's another topic for another day. But I wanted to throw that out there because you brought that up, and it's crazy how
Yeah.
stuff changed.
I also wanted to say it makes sense to me. Hopefully, it makes sense to the viewers and to y'all. But just to connect it back to depression is how someone mentioned social media. Like, so we're clearly a part of that. Like, people are watching us on social media, and I think about how like different children, like youth, like people, the adolescents that deal with stress and stuff. But like in the day, like we can sit here and say how we reflect or talk to ourselves about things, but a lot of it has to do with our environment, and we're older now, so we're able to be, I guess, in environments that we chose. But like growing up, we couldn't choose our environment. So considering that, there's a lot of people that I know are in homes where they can't control that environment. Therefore, we are their family. You look on social media, so it's really important that I'm grateful to have this platform and that we can hopefully change someone's life and that they can watch us and take that in, because like I said, social media is people family. Like that's what they communicate with the most.
Social media is a powerful tool, but I think we still haven't really found out exactly how to work it just right.
Some people
you can't exactly. You can, and how do you filter those people out
Without still allowing us to
have the freedom?
Right.
How do
You
you
gotta have positive and negative.
Yeah,
Of
that's
course,
what I'm
it's
about to
balance.
say. With the
I
good
agree.
come the
I
bad and
totally
vice versa.
agree.
So
Right.
even if we didn't have social media, something bad to be out here going.
Of course,
on,
right.
And the bad always is gonna take your attention before the good.
But always.
Well, that depends
Not
on.
always, but it's look, go ahead.
It's easy to let, even if it's like a drop of negative in like a pool of positive, it's so easy to get wrapped up in.
For example, I'm on social media and I see I follow people that for the gospel or things related, Christian related, or so they're really saying something positive, motivating. But then right below it, maybe I'll see a girl shaking her ass, and no, that's not what I'm into. But I'm like, where's she at? That? I'm getting, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna take my attention. Oh, I was reading the word. How I get here? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. The devil.
the
damn devil.
But even then, that all kind of goes into the content you expose yourself to on social media as well too. So you know,
Right.
and they've created things, and that's why I think it's so conscious about the people. They try to vilify these people that are in tech and things like that. But I love even how you on Apple, they make these things. They have these tools to kind of they understand, they want you to use the product, and you know it's a part of your everyday life, your essential. But they also are putting in things to where if you as an individual choose to live a healthier lifestyle, you have access to it, which I think is really good.
Right. So like going back to Taylor said, like we look at you guys as our family too.
Right. Yes.
So I mean, yeah, we know you may not be in the same city, or you may not be able to see us in person, but we're here for y'all. Like
Our social media.
we're older, so we may be a little more
We 30.
self-aware. Hell, y'all might be just as self-aware, if not more self-aware.
Right.
But we're here for you. So even if you have something that you want to talk about that you may feel like someone close to you, your family, may not quite understand,
Right.
you can talk to us.
Totally. Like, that's what our social media, our Instagram is for. Like,
We
that
don't.
stuff resonates
And
with
that's
us.
why we get on the stories trying to interact with you guys, because you can come talk to us. You give us your thoughts, we share them. It's other people out here that you can relate to.
Right.
It's words that you get from other people that are inspiring you. So
Right.
Exactly.
Well,
It's
I
not
think-
one channel of communication. This is a two-way street.
Absolutely.
So talk to us. We want to talk back.
Yeah, I love to talk.
So follow our Instagram, The Girlfriends Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube page, The Girlfriends Podcast. Twitter, GF_podcast. Facebook, The Girlfriends Podcast.
Yes.
And one more thing, if you guys have like any opportunities for us as far as us connecting to younger people, if someone's watching and
We
We're
wanna
connecting
go
to
your high
anyone.
school.
We would love
We
to
wouldn't
your
even
high
know.
school.
I wouldn't
So
even
we're
say
here
just
talking.
young
just
people.
right, just not just young
Just
people.
connecting.
Maybe because
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about helping
Right.
young people, because I mean
I wanna
they
help
are our
everyone.
future. So
They are,
Right.
yeah, they're precious. I love them.
totally.
So yeah, I hope this wasn't too heavy for y'all today. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
The Girlfriends Podcast brings fun, informative, and authentic conversations to the table to shed a positive light on Black women and remind us of just how amazing we are. Tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. on 72.9 The Voice.